Because you can't help the future by worrying about it. You can't make the future better by worrying about it, but you can feel better today by being excited. Your habit of worrying is preventing you from living a more extraordinary life right now. And in this video, I'm going to share with you 10 practical tips to stop your habit of worrying today and for good. Listen, you know as well as I do, if you're watching this video right now, that worrying does not help you. You know that it's holding you back and preventing you from living a better life, a more joyful life, a more exciting, adventurous life, a life that you feel like you're unstoppable with your confidence, with your belief, with your optimism, with your hope. And the truth is, and I can say this because I can speak from experience, worrying prevents me from being the best version of me. It prevents me from living today to its fullest. It keeps me stuck in the fear and the concern of what might happen in the future. But more likely, it's preventing me from doing the things that truly make progress in my life or help me to make the progress that I truly want to make to live an extraordinary life. And in this video, I want to share with you these 10 practical tips, and many of them, or at least some of them, I borrowed from Dale Carnegie's famous book, How to Stop Worrying and Start Living. I picked up and started reading this book because maybe like you, I'd been worrying about so many things that it was holding me back from living a more full, exciting, passionate life. And the truth is, when I started to implement some of these things and just remind myself of even some of the simple habits and tips that I'm going to share with you today, things changed for me. I stopped worrying as much. Now listen, I think worry is something that can pop back up because if you're anything like me, you've been conditioned over your life, and I'm not saying other people did it to you, but through the course of your life journey, you've experienced this conditioning of worry, of concern, of fear for the future. But I want to help you to start squashing that worry right now. So let's dive into point number 1, which is to remind yourself of the detrimental health consequences of worrying. I've heard it said before that over 90% of doctors' visits today are because of stress. And where does stress come from? Stress comes from worrying about things yet to happen in your future. And if you're worrying about the future and you're concerned about the possibilities of challenge and struggle, well, guess what? It's going to happen. Struggle and challenge is part of life, but if we're going to worry about it, then we're facing that struggle or that challenge more than once. So if you're worrying about something that's yet to come, you are telling your body that you're in struggle, you're in challenge right now, and it needs to be on high alert. It needs to be in that fight or flight mode that I'm sure you've heard about before. And when you're in fight or flight, when your brain and your body and your nervous system are in that fight or flight mode, your body's not functioning at optimal levels, and it is absolutely detrimental to your health. So I want to encourage you that if nothing else, when you start worrying, remind yourself that worrying is killing you, literally is destroying your body, is destroying your health just because of the thoughts that you're thinking about things that have yet to happen in your life. And for that reason, point number 2 is live in the present. Live in today. Compartmentalize your thinking. Don't start thinking about the rest of the week or the rest of the month or the rest of the year. Now, at some point, it does help to visualize the future. I'm a big believer in visualization and thinking positively with hopeful expectation about what's to come in your life. But if you're thinking about the future in a worrisome and fearful way, it's holding you back from experiencing the fullness, the joy, the love that you could have today, that you have in front of you. This day that's in front of you, that you're living right now, can be so much more enjoyable. And you can thrive if you only choose to keep your thoughts in the present, at least as far as trying to squash this worrying that you're doing. And this third point I've actually heard from a guy named Tim Ferriss. Maybe you've heard about him. He has this strategy. When you're worrying and you're fearful, think about what is the absolute worst thing that can happen. And as you start thinking about the worst things that actually could happen, you might start to realize, I can deal with that. That's actually not as bad as I thought it was. See, the challenge is we get afraid of things because we're not really thinking about the consequences. What do I mean by that? I mean, we think that bad things might happen or a challenging situation might happen, and that might lead to some even more challenging things. But the truth is, if we just looked at the things we're worrying about, I think what you might find is they're really not as bad as you're anticipating in this moment. But you're fearful and you're worried because, again, you've over the years conditioned your mind, your body, and your nervous system to react a certain way to upcoming events in your life that might put you on high alert. And so, because for most of us, our past experiences of worry haven't come to fruition, it's actually really helpful. Point number 4 is to remind yourself of your past experiences where you worried so much and yet nothing bad happened. Or at the very least, the things you were worrying about weren't as bad as how you were imagining that they might be, as how bad you were worrying for them to be. And so for me, if I just think back on, man, I had a similar situation like this last week or last month or last year, and I remember worrying about it and it didn't change anything about what happened. And in fact, the situation wasn't that bad. And so if you can remind yourself of the things in your past that you worried about that didn't come to fruition, that can really help you to feel encouraged that this time might be the same and you really don't need to be worrying. And by the way, to that point number 5 then is remind yourself that statistically speaking, the things that you're going to worry about are not going to come to pass. I mean, if you literally went into your journal and jotted down everything that you've worried about over the past several weeks or months, maybe even your entire life, you might find that only a few things actually came to fruition that you were worrying about. And if you actually saw that those things came to fruition, I bet if you really reflected on those things, you'd realize that they weren't as bad as you thought they might have been in the time that you were worrying about them. So when you start to worry, remind yourself, statistically, as you look back on your entire life, the things you worry about really don't happen. So there's no point in worrying today because it doesn't help you. And in fact, it hurts you. It's detrimental to your health, your well-being, and holds you back from living a more full and extraordinary life. And point number 6, think greater than your worries. Think greater than your worries. What I mean by that specifically is elevating your thinking about what's possible. So as you think about that future that you're worrying about, instead of imagining a future that you're concerned about, start to turn it around. Think, how can this be great? What things might happen that are just awesome in this situation? And as you're thinking about that future in an elevated way, you will start to feel more encouraged, more lifted, more alive, lighter, and less worrisome because you can actually imagine a brighter, better future. So start to think greater than your worrying thoughts, elevate your energy, be cheerful and positively expectant about what's to come, and you'll start reducing your worrisome thoughts that you have as you're thinking about the future. Point number 7 is very similar to 6, which is focus on what you're excited about. What are some great things that are coming up in your life that you can be excited about? Because if you can drown out the worrisome thoughts with things that you're excited about, then even if you don't eliminate the chance of the thing happening that you're worried about, you'll at least not spend as much mental and emotional time worrying about the future, which will help you to feel better. And if you're feeling better, that's the point anyways, because you can't help the future by worrying about it. You can't make the future better by worrying about it, but you can feel better today by being excited and thinking about what you might be excited about into the future. So to eliminate some of your worries, focus on the things that you're really excited about. And if you do that, you're going to feel better. And at the end of the day, when you feel better, you live better. So point number 8, have a growth mindset. Now, I'm sure you may have heard of Carol Dweck's book, Mindset, talks about the difference between growth mindset and fixed mindset. And very briefly, you should definitely look it up. But growth mindset is this concept, this idea, this belief that I can learn, I can grow, I can improve, and I'm not stuck today with where I am in any area of my life. A fixed mindset is I am what I am who I am, and I can't improve from here. I have the skill level that I have, and I can't improve it. I have the capacity that I have, and I can't improve it. But if you take a growth mindset for your entire life, then even if the things you're worrying about do go south and don't go well in your life, and those things you're worrying about come to fruition, which remember, statistically speaking, they won't, but even if they did, you can learn from that challenge. You can learn from that struggle. You can learn from that thing that you are worrying about. So when you take on a growth mindset, it doesn't matter how bad things might go in the future, because you'll know that however bad that future event might be, I can learn from it. I can grow from it. I can develop better skills, better grit, a stronger attitude, a more positive attitude. I can grow in all kinds of ways when I move into this challenging situation, take it head on. Even if I fail, I will learn, I will grow, and I will be better the next time I find myself in a similar situation. Point number 9, get contrast. I don't know about you, but if I start to worry about what might happen in the future, and I really think about all of the challenges and struggles that even other people around the world have faced and are facing today, my worries really aren't that big of a deal. When I think about the people around the world that are starving, that don't have places to live, that don't know where their next meal is coming from, that don't have a job, that don't know how to pay for their children and their infants and their whatever it is, there's so much challenge and struggle and suffering in the world today. And 99.99999%, dang near 100% of the stuff I worry about, I can only speak for myself, certainly not for you. You might be in a different situation. Maybe you are struggling tremendously or even suffering. But what I know for me is that nearly 100% of the things I worry about are nothing compared to how bad some other people have it. Now, it's not to celebrate the fact that other people have big challenges and major obstacles and are suffering. That's not the point of getting contrast. The point of getting contrast is to help you have perspective about the challenges that you're facing today. And I can absolutely tell you, when I get contrast and give myself greater perspective about the challenges that are possible in this world, my worries seem like nothing and they start to dissipate. And before I share with you point number 10, I do have this belief that our morning routine can set us up for successful, that you can feed and condition your mind, body, and spirit to become extraordinary every single day so you can live a better life, have more joy, passion, fun, enthusiasm, so you can live an extraordinary life and even serve greater value to even more people. So if you want to know my morning routine, I've got a checklist and a 16-page step-by-step guide that you can find in the description of this video. Just go ahead and download that, take a peek at it, and use it to master your morning routine so you can create an extraordinary life and become the best version of yourself every single morning. Point number 10, focus on others. Speaking of contribution, if you're worrying 99% of the time, it's because you're focused on yourself. If you just flip that around and you start to think about, how can I serve other people? How can I learn and grow and contribute either through this situation or just in my life generally? If you stop focusing on yourself, you will stop worrying as much. Turn the lens of your life towards helping and supporting other people, and you'll elevate your energy, you'll elevate your thinking, and you'll stop worrying as much because you'll focus on how can I contribute, not what bad things might happen to me in the future. So if you're encouraged by this message, go and watch this video right now on how to journal, because when you journal, you can start to condition your mind. So go watch this video right now where I share with you exactly how you can journal effectively to elevate your life, become the best version of yourself, and contribute at higher levels and stop worrying as much so that you can start living even better.